Hey there everyone, the week have passed and we are here back with another interesting hand from Courtney where we'll be analyzing spot with King Queen suited, one of very nice hands. So we just let's go into lunch it and see what it brings. Few guys fold, one opens, and we have already an open and a flat before us where Courtney decides to call. I do think calling here is fine, even though it could go both ways. You could squeeze, you could just call and seize a flop. I do think that calling is absolutely fine with a hand where you dominate a lot of your opponent ranges, and it is not necessary to squeeze here, even though having some reads or stats, you could lean to doing that. However, we decide to call and seize a flop, but the most interesting part happens exactly here. Right now, both of your opponent checks and you face a decision. I do think this is going to be extremely standard for majority of the players to check this back, and I do think this is a mistake. It's not like a huge mistake whatsoever, but I do think you could gain more valor by betting, and I will try to explain why. While firstly, heads up, I understand and I think it's a reasonable good play to check this back because you have a perfectly good hand to bluff catch your opponent and let him outplay his hand and make mistakes as well. However, when you are freeway, your opponents are not going to bluff that wide, so it loses this part of its valor as a bluff catcher. Moreover, you have insane equity with the hand no matter what your opponent are holding, so you're better off building the pot for the times when you hit, or you will be able to make him fold even some better hands on the river. Just imagine you putting a pressure and barreling free streets here. Do you think he could call you with something like ace-10? It's very unlikely. Most of the time you're going to get even more valor from better hands and then make him fold later on, which is just great. However, the most important part is your equity. The most important part I want to say is your equity with the hand. Therefore, betting here I do think is a little bit better. Moreover, you can easily check back on the turn if you do not improve and seize a river. Right now, you're going to be pricing their draws. Obviously, you block some of them, but they still could have some straight draws, gut shots, or even lower flush draws which they decide to call, and this is great. They're obviously going to call you here with some weaker hand than yours, and this is our goal to take as much valor as we can. However, we decide to check, seize a turn, and your opponent bets into you. Obviously, I think it's no-brainer to call here. You still have a great hand, a ton of equity. You can improve to nuts if you hit the diamond. You can improve to trips, two pairs, and so on. Even though you could have the best hand right now, but it's not very likely in my opinion. And there are a few things. Well, firstly, you block some flush draws that he could have, especially not flush draw, so he can easily could have hands like king 10 of diamonds, king jack of diamonds, and barrel it off. But when you have a king of diamonds yourself, he just can't have it for obvious reasons because there is just one king of diamonds in the deck. I'm pretty sure you are aware what the blocker means. So it makes your life a little bit harder. Right now he's not going to valor bet like queen x. Even ace-x is probably not going to bet that big, but he could be betting that big with strong ace-x hands or even two pairs to protect his range, to deny your equity, to make you fall with your equity hands like gut shots and so on. Obviously, you're probably not going to fold much better draws like you have right now as well, but still it looks like he's trying to protect his range with this big sizing, and this is something that is very important to take in consideration. So you call obviously and face a bet on the river again. Right now, this brings us another interesting spot. While he was betting very big on the turn to protect his hand presumably, now he bets very small. So it just smells like valor bet for me. It would not make sense to bluff using this sizing. As we said, you block some of his bluffs. Obviously, he could have hearts as well as a flush draw and bluff with it. He could have jack 10 or even some other gut shots and bluff with this, but he would probably not choose such a small sizing. I do think when facing this small sizing, you put yourself, he put you in a pretty tough spot. I do think I would let this hand go just because it didn't play out the way you wanted. And again, I do think that bet sizing is a crucial part in MTTs, and it can tell you a lot of information about your opponent. So you decide to call, and your opponent has pocket fours. That was pretty unlucky for him to hit that on the turn. However, I do think yet even not getting results orientated here, because obviously he's very unlikely to improve that hand after seeing the flop, but against his whole range you would still going to be getting more wallow by betting on the flop, and I do think that this is the most important part. Hope this was helpful. I hope you understand the difference before playing heads up and multi-way, and that you need to change your strategy accordingly, and then you will be doing pretty good. For more analysis, strategy videos or tips, visit my channel, subscribe to it, and talk to you soon guys. Cheers!